Good afternoon. My name is Veronica Guerrero. I'm a full-time professor here at California Lutheran University in California. And my co-author, Judith Richards, who is with us this afternoon as well, is a visiting professor here at California Lutheran University, and she'll be discussing some of the concepts as we move through with this presentation. Our presentation today is on MBA education and negotiation competence, examining the impact of experiential learning on negotiation self-efficacy in a multicultural environment. A little bit about this presentation. We did some research, and many multinational organizations have called upon MBA programs to really cultivate proficiency in soft skills as well as technical skills, and find that these soft skills are really relevant in a global business environment. And one of the key soft skills that you will see is negotiation, and competence in negotiating in multicultural situations helps in an increasingly global environment. The research questions that we attempt to answer are: how should simulations be implemented in a multicultural classroom to improve student negotiation self-efficacy? Can formalized training increase negotiation self-efficacy across key success factors, including the likelihood of achieving goals, confidence, competitiveness in terms of distributive aspects, and collaboration in terms of integrative aspects or tactics? And finally, is there a shift in the proposed usage of integrated and distributive strategies after taking a graduate level negotiation course? And does this shift vary by ethnicity? Some of the theoretical underpinnings that we will be discussing include social cognitive theory by Albert Bandura, and specifically within that, the concept of self-efficacy, transformative learning by Jack Mesereau, cultural dimension modeling by Hofstede, distributive and integrative strategies by Lewicki. And with that, I'm going to transfer over to Judy Richards to talk a little bit about the cultural dimensions.
Yes, Hofstede's research on cultural dimension, the different areas, have been helpful as far as our study and provide some valuable insight. In addition, the work of Lewicki, Saunders, and Berry has really pointed us in the direction in our studies of distributive as well as integrative strategies. Distributive strategies are known to be competitive tactics, whereas integrative are associated with collaboration. Both are ideally needed in negotiations to create and claim value.
For social cognitive theory, again, this is based on the work by Albert Bandura. There are 4 sources of self-efficacy formation. This includes personal performance accomplishments, vicarious experiences, verbal persuasion, and physiological state. So how does an individual feel physically and mentally at the point of a certain situation or activity? There are variations along 3 dimensions within this formation. One being the level of difficulty or the degree of difficulty that's associated, that individual might associate with a particular situation, such as a negotiation situation. Their strength or confidence in their performance estimates, how well they believe they will do. And generality, the range of situations considered efficacious. So if they believe that for negotiations there's many ranges of situations. It could be a negotiation with a child, it could be a negotiation with the coworker, with the superior, with the customer, with the vendor. So definitely a range of situations. Specifically and more recently, there's been actually work done in negotiation self-efficacy by Yu and Chung and Siu. And this has involved negotiator confidence in one's ability to successfully use tactics to conduct a negotiation to produce desired outcomes. And so this is within the domain of negotiation, which would be the overall situation, what specific tactics might be used and how confident or efficacious an individual might be in those tactics that might cause them to use one more than the other. In terms of transformative learning by Jack Mesereau, there are 10 phases of personal transformation that range from a disorienting dilemma through building competence and planning and then reintegrating into society with a new perspective. And ours really looks at phases 6 through 10, where we are building competence in new roles, providing a plan of action, acquiring new knowledge and skills, and then in experiential learning opportunities, making efforts to try the new roles and assess feedback from peers and instructors, and then reintegrating into the workplace with these newfound skills and perspectives.
Existing research on cultural differences points out by Louis Key, Berry, and Sanders that Asian nations were found to be characterized as having collectivistic cultural identities favoring the group identity. These cultures were found to focus on relationships and consequently are known to stay with the same negotiator for years. Conversely, Americans were found to place more emphasis on the individual, reflecting an individualistic culture. Individualistic cultures, in terms of negotiations, may be more likely to swap negotiators plus use short-term criteria that seems appropriate to reach the goals and outcomes. Whereas Asian cultures, according to Hofstede, were ranked as high power distance, which is described as the extent to which the less powerful members of organizations accept and expect that power is distributed unequally. All major decisions, therefore, in negotiations might have to be approved by the leader. This is an actual picture of one of the cross-cultural simulations in the negotiation course that I teach. Despite the scholarly research, still cross-cultural negotiations can be extremely difficult. As Fowler described, what is the main difficulty? It's the fact that cross-cultural negotiations, the concept can be elusive, inherent in negotiations. In other words, cross-cultural negotiations can be extremely difficult. As far as the significance of the study, basically, via the negotiation course, we sought out to identify significant learning experiences that contribute to the self-efficacy of the learner, in our case, the student, to support the development as well as improvement of graduation education curriculum at the graduate level, to contribute to research on a multicultural development in the area of negotiation efficacy. The methodology that we utilized is we took the negotiation course that I teach for MBA students at California Lutheran University. We surveyed the students over a one-year period. Students actually completed the online survey on the first class, that was the pre, providing an opportunity for the students to reflect on their current negotiation style as well as effectiveness, and then on the last course to once again complete the online survey to determine areas that actually changed as far as strategies and effectiveness. The results were collected and analyzed in our study to actually pinpoint areas where there existed a shift in strategies and self-efficacy across the range of factors that we pursued.
Over the course of the year, we offered the class multiple times in an 11-week session or term in the MBA program. and collected data from 66 participants. And this slide here provides a breakdown of the student ethnicity across all the courses that were offered in that year time frame, and the breakdown by ethnicity. You'll see on this chart was one of the questions that we asked, pre and post. You'll see we had 65 in the pre and 54 in the post survey. The drop is due to the fact that we actually put the survey out in the first week of class so that we get those perspectives before there has been any instruction. And students in the program actually have 2 weeks to drop the course. So the lower number is due to students that needed to drop the course due to other scheduling conflicts that may have arisen. So the first question here is, when engaging in negotiations, I could be described as likely to achieve my negotiation outcomes, goals. And as you see, we see a shift into strongly agree, 40%, between the pre and the post survey, which is a fairly large shift. And this again is across all ethnicities. In the next slide, we actually do a breakdown of our Caucasian students versus Asian students that participated in the survey. And if you notice, among Caucasians, we also see a significant shift among strongly agree from the pre to the post survey. And among the Asian students, we see a shift of about 16% from strongly agree between the pre and the post survey. The next question was, when engaging in negotiation, I can be described as confident. Again, also linked to the self-efficacy study. And we see a shift among all participants, definitely within the strongly agree category again. When we look again at Caucasians versus Asians in the pre and post survey, again, there is a significant shift between to strongly agree among the Caucasian students, and also a very significant shift among the Asian students in terms of increasing their confidence in their ability to engage in negotiations. And if you'll notice on the disagree and neither agree or disagree, there were no answers in those categories on the post. The next question is, when engaging in negotiations, I could be described as competitive. Competitive is really, again, one of the tactics that might be used in a more distributive type of approach. And if you see among all participants, we did see a slight shift within the agree to strongly agree category, with a decrease in the neither agree or disagree. So they started to form some opinions in terms of how they would describe themselves in a negotiation situation. When engaging in negotiations, I could be described as competitive. Again, here we see a smaller shift among the Caucasian students in the agree category, a larger shift among strongly agree among our Caucasian students, but we also saw a decrease in neither agree or disagree, so some of those students formed some stronger opinions about how they would describe themselves in a negotiation situation. Among the Asian students, you will notice that there was a significant increase in the agree category and a slight increase within strongly agree. When engaging in negotiations, I could be described as collaborative. Again, a collaborative would be more of a tactic that would be categorized or associated with an integrative approach. And with the difference between the pre and post survey among all participants, we see a decrease in the agree in the post survey, but a 36% increase in the strongly agree category at the close of the term. When we look at that same question, again, break it down by Caucasian and Asian students, you'll notice that there is a significant increase in strongly agree amongst the Caucasian students, and also a strong increase among strongly agree among our Asian students. The relationship is more important to me than the outcome when I engage in negotiations. If we look at all participants in the survey, we see a slight increase in strongly agree, a small decrease in agree, so it looks like there might be a shift to the strongly agree category. If we break that down by ethnicity again amongst the Caucasian students, we notice that there is a slight, there's not actually a change within agree, but we do see a doubling of another 16% in the strongly agree category, and we see a 6% increase amongst strongly agree amongst our Asian students. And you'll notice that amongst the Asian students, the post-survey showed no one disagreed with that.
On the post-survey, we asked the question, how has the negotiation course supported the development of your negotiation skills? We actually highlighted some of the common responses, and in bold, you'll see some of the key words that were trending. For example, it has pointed me outside my comfort zone, including relationship building and a more integrative negotiation style. It made me more confident and prepared for diverse situations, and it gave me more tools. It has given me confidence and a game plan of how to approach things. It's given me a lot of tools and go-to tactics to use. It reaffirmed some of what I already know and had given me some practice in other scenarios. An additional question we asked is, what, if anything, would you do differently as an entrepreneur or employee as a result of taking the negotiation conflict management course? Students indicated, I would in some cases attempt less distributive bargaining, try to implement more relationship building on an experimental basis. Another student commented, I will always have the courage to negotiate and understand that original offers are not set in stone. Preparation is also key. I will not accept what is offered to me at first. Another businessman indicated, I would take further negotiation courses or seminars. While I was taking the class, Claiming and Creating Value, that knowledge was useful. I recommend this class for businessmen, for employees who are involved in negotiation with other sectors or bosses too. An additional question that was posed on the post survey, what is most important to you, the relationship or the outcome when you engage in career-related negotiations? And why? The relationship. This came up time and time again, as well as the network building at work. The relationships can lead to future opportunities. It's situational. If I am negotiating with someone that I have daily contact with, then the relationship would be most important. However, if it was a less intimate relationship, I would focus on the outcome. In addition, we asked, what were the highlights of your participation in the negotiation course? Keep in mind that every class over an 11-week term, we meet once a week and there is a negotiation simulation. In addition, we have some email negotiations and telephonic that are conducted outside of class. Highlights included seeing the value of out-preparing people, getting smoked on the videotape negotiation. We also videotape one of the negotiations, which is helpful in the debrief. Building up my confidence, making me understand more about culture. Role plays came up, also the email negotiation, peer negotiations, and as one student commented, I think it was fun meeting and working with all the different students. What did you learn about yourself as a negotiator? As one student responded, I learned that I probably wasn't as flexible as I could B, nor was I as interested in building relationships. I tended to claim value too quickly at times. Another student responded, I think I can be more integrative. Before, my idea of negotiation was win-lose. It also came up with the value of preparation, and some students commented that they actually discovered that they were indeed strong negotiators. How might that affect how you will negotiate or achieve your objectives in the future? One student indicated, I will be more patient when I negotiate. I'll do more sharing and communication. It will help my focus on the relationship rather than the short term. Again, we heard this theme of giving more confidence. Challenges with cross-cultural negotiations. I'd like to point out that in the negotiation class, we have two issues. One is, fortunately, the classroom has been culturally diverse with domestic as well as international students. The second issue is that during the course term, we have two cross-cultural simulations which have proven to be the most difficult for students. They have cited the challenges including the language, the cultural issues, the values, what's acceptable in terms of tactics, huge collaborative challenge, misunderstandings occurred with other cultures, comprehension of expectations, communication was more difficult. What assignments helped improve your negotiation skills? These students pointed out the interaction with the other students, the different types of simulations in class, telephonic, email, gave insight to real-world experiences that you can't really understand as well merely out of a textbook. Although challenging at times, I enjoyed these simulations and especially appreciated the debriefs. Once again, we saw this theme emerge as far as the students really enjoyed international negotiation exercises, better understanding negotiating with students from other cultures, the role plays, learning about the importance of a best alternative to a negotiated agreement, the debriefing, videotaping, and preparation. In conclusion, we found that cross-cultural classroom simulations should be implemented face-to-face, telephonically, as well as electronically, in dyads, triads, and teams, involving modeling, videotaping, and debriefing. Why? To improve, ultimately, student negotiation confidence, self-efficacy, and likelihood in achieving goals, awareness of cultural values, collaboration, which can be associated with integrative, and competitiveness, distributive. There was, we found, a shift in the usage of strategies which did vary by ethnicity. Survey responses on all negotiation questions varied by ethnicity. The Caucasian white students indicated the highest % increase in likelihood of achieving negotiation outcome goals, confidence, shift to employ a more collaborative strategy, as well as a shift to indicate that the relationship was more important than the outcome after taking the course. The Asian students indicated the highest % increase in agreement to shift to a more competitive strategy, and perhaps that can be associated with claiming value, thus leaving less unclaimed value on the negotiating bargaining table. If we put this together in a model of negotiation self-efficacy, we look to improve persuasion, cultural awareness, increase competitive and collaboration skills. Why? In order that students create and then claim value. We implement this through role-play simulations, videotapes, debriefing, and studying existing theories. Potential contributions would go to the study of providing support, hopefully, for graduate level educators in designing curriculum for MBA, international MBA programs. Also, specific effective educational areas for domestic and international students in self-efficacy in cross-cultural negotiation situations and negotiation skill development. Thank you.